with part 2 of the overhaul. For those outside the loop of my community tab, this is something I kind of made on a whim after season 1 of Hazbin Hotel dropped and realized the premise of the show wasn't as much of the focal point like I originally thought. Now, don't get me wrong, I get they were limited, but did we really need a war with heaven in season 1 along with the dead angel plotline? All that stuff's fun, but I was kind of hoping for the characters to go through complex arcs and learn what it means to be an actual good person, and that change is hard but worth it. But that was my bad, guys. So instead of a rewrite, I thought, why not take the main idea, can a sinner be redeemed, and work from that? I mean, I had already made the first 5 versions of my interpretations of the deadly sins, so what's wrong with making this weird Frankenstein rewrite / AU? And like so much more. Like, I remade this world's world building, so overhaul is what we're gonna dub this. Also, you'll see later I made completely new characters-ish. 1, so not to get into any legal trouble, and 2, well, they don't really act or embody much of the OGs. I mean, there's a little in there, but the further we go into this, the more you'll see how different and complicated stuff is for them and their lives before death. That's right, we're gonna get into their past too. And some fun heaven and hell lore, that's always fun. So I'm gonna explain how the series will go from here. This will be a 3-part series, or more like a 5-part. Let me explain. So part 1 will have 2 videos on all the characters as an introduction. So this is the final introduction of all the characters. Then part 2 will probably be 1 video on the world building and rules on how everything works. And part 3 will probably, hopefully, be 1 video, but knowing me, it'll probably be 2 on the whole story. This will not be a comic, but more like a pitch meeting, so I will talk about how storytelling, plot progression, and character arcs, along with what all would happen if this was a 3-season, 21-episode production. Pictures will be included, yay! Hopefully this will make as much sense as possible, because I'm pretty excited to do this, but let's get into the other characters. A brief little tidbit. I've included the 7 heavenly virtues in this AU, as I found that heaven not knowing what got a soul into heaven really weird, so the 7 heavenly virtues are now the judge and jury on what gets you into heaven, and as much as I'd love to explain angelic lore and hierarchy, I figure that'll be better for the world building video, so let's just get on to the characters. Meet Uriel, the heavenly virtue of chastity, and so many more things. As the oldest angel, he has been given a lot of titles, such as the Angel of Light and Fire, Angel of Wisdom, and Angel of Repentance, so he's the one you really want on your side come Judgment Day. Though he seems to be slacking lately, preferring to stay in his library to spy on humans and sinners, as he's become bored of his books and fanfics. He's become particularly invested in a juicy romance between a spider and bee. But don't let this fool you into thinking he's lost in the clouds. He still is sharp as ever. Though he may act childish for his age, he still knows all and sees all, and is constantly keeping record. Though as good as he is at his job, he isn't completely devoted, as breaking the rules to keep the balance is just something that has to be done. Since Uriel is the heavenly virtue of chastity, which is lust's opposite, I thought I'd color code him similar to how the 7 deadly sins are color coded. However, I did not make their colors opposites. That way it would be easier to tell who is who, even though yes, they would be sharing the same colors. However, the color palettes will be different. And since he's also the angel of fire, making him a burning blue flame just seemed natural. Plus, blue fire is the hottest of all fires, which works for him considering all the fanfics he reads. And because of how old he is. A lot of his design is more flashy than your typical angel, with a jacket, clergy stole hybrid with sun markings, and a sleeveless tunic with flame ends. A lot of angels are covered in gold, but for Uriel and the other heavenly virtues, the amount they have is a symbol of their status and ranking. So a lot of his accessories are mostly for show and not really something he'd actually like to wear. His color palette again is meant to color code him to lust, but to showcase the differences, I added yellow and white, yellow for the sun and white for purity. As for his halo, it is shaped to look like the sun. More higher ranked angels will have more decorative halos. Oh, and his glasses are just for reading, and they're colored to help him read the words better. Also, his hair is his biggest pride, so don't try and touch it. Meet Michael, Heaven's new favorite, and heavenly virtue of humility, and the unfortunate twin brother of Lucifer. Well, not exactly twins, as Michael is a lowly archangel, but due to his birth having happened at the same time as Lucifer's, they are connected. But enough about that, let's talk about the shining star that is Michael, the most humble man in all of heaven, dedicating his time to the humans and helping out whenever he can with them, even though he no longer has to. Now that he's been given his new title and position as general, the angelic army has never been so happy to have a general as kind and doting. He's even often been called dad more than once. Though he is loved and showered with praise, it would seem he is constantly on edge and stressed each time a soul is judged and tossed to hell. I think he might fear the worst if the numbers do not go up. Extermination Day can only buy them so much time, as he cannot let history repeat itself. As for the design, again, I am color coding the virtues, and since Michael is the heavenly virtue of humility, which is pride's opposite, so instead of putting him in a different color, I put him in purple, but a more bright and royal color purple, to symbolize his status as the new favorite. But unlike the others, he just wears a hooded scarf, as he's still a bit uncomfortable about his role, and also the scars on his face. He is also draped in a lot of gold, again due to his position. The higher the position, the more gold you get, which is hard for a guy like Michael who misses his old uniform that lacked basically no gold. But speaking of uniform, Michael's design is meant to mimic that of the Knights of Templar, so he is in a full suit of armor that's made to look like his body. He wears star symbols as a reminder of his brother. As for accessories, he doesn't really wear any unless you count his prosthetic, cause during the war he got the worst of it and ended up losing his arm and getting a nasty scar on his face. If you're curious who did this, well, that would be the bad man downstairs. His hair is similar in texture to Lucifer's, as that's about all they share in looks. Again, they are twins, but not exactly. Also, his hair was once a much brighter gold, but since Lucifer's fall, it hasn't been the same, including his halo, as it now has a missing piece. Meet Hanal, the angel of joy. Though not an official virtue, she still has a special job with the council. She gets to sit in on the trials with her mother. Watching the trials used to be a very special thing to witness, but lately it isn't. In the beginning, it was fun, and she felt so important in the beginning, and she truly does love to see when a soul is let into heaven, as she gets to welcome them and show them around. But lately, less and less souls are getting into heaven, making her feel pointless. She's the angel of joy, yet she hasn't felt much joy in some time. She often wishes she could go to Earth like the others and spread joy there, as it would appear Earth truly needs it, but feels like her mother and heaven need her to spread joy to the other angels. Everyone just seems so tired. So she's basically stuck in this constant struggle on what to do, but she does find joy in the small things, singing with the choir, painting the sunsets. She even sometimes sneaks off to the court's record room to watch the memories of past souls. There's one she particularly loves to watch, though it has no name, and only a few flickering moments of a lovely red-headed woman in a marvelous garden. Hanal's design is meant to express happiness, her colors being primarily pink and yellow, symbolize caring, hope, and warmth, while yellow is literally the color of happiness, or joy if you want to be technical. It's also a warm color, which gives her this early morning sunrise vibe, which is why her dress is ombre. Her outfit is meant to look like a bell or like a tree topper angel, so I put her in a bell-shaped skirt with a sheer yellow overskirt and gave her bishop sleeves, aka sleeves bishops used to wear, even though I don't think they look all that similar, but it works since she's an angel. I also gave her a star pattern brooch, though not as a sign to Lucifer, but more for the symbolism of divine guidance and protection. You'll notice she has simple embellishments on her dress. Since she is a lower ranked angel, she doesn't wear much gold. As for her hair, I went with like a kind of hybrid style of a large long braided ponytail and 2 loop braided bangs and braided hair tie. As for accessories, just some simple cross earrings and simple ribbon choker. Her halo is also shaped similar to Michael's due to her low status, so again, a higher ranked angel has a more decorative halo, while a lower ranked angel has, the simple circle halo. Meet Salafia, the heavenly virtue of kindness, and true to her title, she is one of the most kindest angels to grace the golden halls. She has quite the list of abilities and duties as she helps interpret dreams, break addictions, presides over exorcisms, and rules over music in heaven, aka she's basically the keeper of music and was once Lucifer's teacher. But look what all that kindness did. What a shame. She is also the protector of children, and speaking of children, though angels can't have children themselves, they still raise new souls, so she has adopted Hanal after the war since so many new angels came into existence with no one to guide them. So even though they are of different angelic types, Salafia loves her daughter, maybe a bit too much, as she hasn't let Hanal do much of anything, which I guess makes sense due to Lucifer. He was everyone's favorite. It might be hard to let go for fear of another fall. But enough about that. Salafia is also very good at her job as a virtue, though a bit more harsh lately. I mean, there's only so much kindness in the world one can give, but let's hope she can try to see the light in people again. I mean, time is running out. Salafia's design is heavily inspired by nature and more Greek-like silhouette, or more specifically the statues, hints to why the bottom of her dress is so sharp and why her halo also has leaves around it. But a lot of her design is themed around lakes or ponds since she is the virtue of kindness, which is envy's opposite. Her colors, though still green, are more brighter and tranquil. Her hair has light waves to look like water rippling, and yeah, originally I was going to give her more hair, but it was a bit much and kind of took away from her and her halo. Her dress has golden weeping willow branches as a hint to her grief over Lucifer's fall. Even her golden tears are hints to that day. And though her outfit is the most simple, she still wears a lot of gold, to her golden shoulder plates, to golden willow leaves, and even golden eyeshadow and lipstick. The design on her forehead is based around Hua Dian, a makeup style based around a princess who fell asleep and had a flower leave a mark on her forehead. I found the story to be really pretty and interesting as many women tried to replicate the look but printed different flowers or symbols. So I made her marking willow leaves. Her arms are also marked in gold but are meant to give off the vibe of a tree, and her only true accessories are her golden hair clips and her sheer shawl to give her some softness, as a lot of her design is very sharp now. Meet Adam! That's right, the Adam, aka First Man Adam, aka the guy who kickstarted humanity and second person to sin. Yes, he did. What a bad boy he is. Yes, so we all know the whole story. Adam is the first man, got dumped by his first wife, had his ribs stolen while he slept, then boom, new wife, who tricks him into eating an apple. Tale as old as time. But that's all old news, as now he spends most his days working, as he likes to call it, at the Blessed Museum in Hell. His punishment for his sins. He isn't completely ungrateful though, as he isn't stuck looking like a monster and actually has immunity from Extermination Day. A day he's truly come to love, as it's the only time he gets to see his kids. All 4,000 of them. I mean, you live till you're 1,000 years old and your wife gives you nothing but twins. After Cain and Abel and Smith, you end up with way more kids than normal. But he's truly a dad's dad. Don't let his gruff exterior fool you. It's just a front after so many years of dealing with sinners, but is soft deep down and really misses his kids and just knows if they stay the course, maybe, just maybe, heaven will forgive them and let them come home. That is, if a certain nosy princess doesn't mess it all up. Adam's design is super simple. After his death, he was allowed to keep his human appearance before going to hell, though obviously things have changed style-wise. Can't wear leaves and animal skin forever, so he now wears a simple black suit with a shoulder cape and a priest's collar. After his death, a lot of his outfits have been religious-based, mostly uniform in style, though this version is way more modern. His hair and mustache are neatly trimmed and kept short. After so many years with long hair and a beard, he's much much happier with it short. So also you'll notice his eyes are gold. This is a hint to his connection to heaven, along with the halo, which you'll see is black, which is very unusual. As for accessories, he only wears golden cross cufflinks, and though Adam is over 1,000 years old, he still appears young, but you'll see his crow's feet and gray hair make him look older. The genetics of the first man is crazy. Plus, I mean, he's not a real human, so it's not too weird he isn't extremely old looking. Meet Eve. That's right, Eve. You know, the reason behind why humans age and women have painful childbirth. Well, she's not exactly the reason. I mean, she was tricked. Plus, who puts an apple tree in a garden and says, don't eat it? Why not put it on the moon? But whatever. Eve, though heartbroken over her mistake, still has love and faith in all. Just like Adam, after her death, she was sentenced to work at the Blessed Museum in Hell as punishment. Though unlike her husband, she will interact with the demons, if they're curious enough to come in, which has somewhat backfired as their little area has become a makeshift heaven filled with the worst sort of people. Eve just can't seem to catch a break. She truly believes she is cursed, but her hope keeps her going. Hope to finally be allowed into heaven, hope to see her children, and hope that one day Adam will forgive her for her past and current present, with secretly helping the princess of hell find a way for a soul to be redeemed, believing if it can be done, they can finally leave hell. Eve's design, just like Adam's, is also very simple. She was able to keep her human appearance and is grateful as the thought of what she could have ended up looking like haunts her after seeing Lilith's form. She also wears a similar uniform to Adam's, a simple button-up vest and long skirt with a long veil, giving the appearance of a nun. This is probably Eve's least favorite outfit over the years. She much prefers her Middle Ages uniform as it had more color, while this one is so dark and plain. As for accessories, she only has one, her glasses, which I wouldn't count as an accessory per se, as she needs them to see, but eh. Also, unlike her husband, she appears much younger, which is mainly due to when she was created and how she was created, but she does have signs of aging with her hair starting to gray, and she and Adam are also more chubbier than when they were created. Eve due to childbirth, and Adam 'cause dad bod. Meet Lucifer, the king of hell, the Dark Lord himself, the guy who doomed us all 'cause of jealousy. And instead of singing with the heavenly choir like he used to do, he now spends his time sulking. And let me tell you, the man can sulk. I mean, you would too if your entire life was destroyed by your own actions and was now tasked to be around and deal with the humans you caused to sin to spite your father. Though thankfully he no longer has to torture them anymore. His stupid siblings get to do that for him. Ah, what fun. Every extermination day is a real treat, watching his angelic brothers and sisters smite souls in the most gruesome ways, knowing how awful they all must feel. But it's justice in Lucifer's eyes. They had no problem killing his children, yet when it comes to these filthy mud monsters, they cry and mourn. Pathetic. It's no secret that Lucifer hates humans, well, except one, but she's long past being a human anymore. But his hatred is a never-ending plague. He hates them so much he no longer leaves the castle or accompanies Lilith to the human realm. He's even been neglecting his royal duties, passing them off to his son. I mean, what's the point anymore? Hell is at its most productive and powerful, yet unfortunately he cannot start another war, as he would lose so much more this time. Lucifer's design is heavily inspired by vampires, OG fashion, and some military inspiration as well. His hair is red now due to the fall. A lot of his appearance has changed due to the fall as well. His skin is grayer. His eyes no longer golden and bright. He's much more tired looking and sports a black scar on his face all the way to his arm. The fall was so fast his arm was burnt severely, along with hurting his legs upon impact. Hint to the cane, which is a real snake by the way, and technically the snake he sent woman to trick Eve, so yeah. His outfit again is a mix of military with his shoulder cuff and sigil medal, and his golden double-breasted coat buttons along with the shape of his jacket. The rest is more vampire themed with his over-the-shoulder cape-shaped bat wings and fur wrap, and cut of his coat being more sharp and curved. His color palette is primarily grays, blacks, and muted gold and purple. Since Lucifer is the sin of pride, he wears his sin's color, though he's not very fond of it, preferring black as it's an opposite to white. Due to this, the royal family and anyone loyal or connected to the family will wear mainly black and purple. As for accessories, he only has one, his crown. Since his fall, he no longer has his halo and has replaced it with a half-ringed crown, making it look like he has horns. Also, the gold he wears is more muted and cold, as angelic gold is bright and warm, showing he has lost his angelic light. Meet Lilith, the queen of hell, and the first, that's right, first woman, let's get that straight. And if you don't know the story, well, shame on you, but we won't get into it as it's long and complicated, and something Lilith actively tries to avoid remembering. Too much pain, too much regret, but that's life for you. Good thing her life is over. Her afterlife is perfect, spending her time helping the women who summon her and spending time with her children even if one of them won't call her back, and enjoying the peaceful life she's always wanted. Lilith truly has found her place in hell, monitoring and delegating royal events and meeting and teaching her son the ropes of royalty, though from time to time Lilith likes to have a bit of fun, going to all the hellish fashion shows and parties, even sneaking off with Asmodeus to the human realm to trick humans into signing their souls away for practically nothing. If only Lucifer would join her more. She loves him so deeply, probably more than he'll ever know, but it's painful to watch him hide away. She fears the worst if it goes on much longer, for him and her son, because something is shifting. Lilith's design is heavily inspired by Lady Gaga, and her fashion inspired by a live-action's Cruella de Vil 90s version, and Terry Mugler. She is dressed in a more gothic couture dress with sharp shoulder pads and living eyes and fur gloves. Her dress is a sharp-shaped bat dress, which does open/transform into giant bat wings with a simple red slip underneath. Although her human form was much more simple, her demonic self is hellishly gorgeous. From her lovely crown-like horns, with skin ripping to set them free, to her voluptuous motherly body, who says being a succubus doesn't have its perks, and her long goat legs that would make any demon jealous, and eyes so dark and bloody, would make the weakest man fall to his knees. Though, unlike Lucifer, she didn't keep her red hair after death, but that's alright, she wears her age with pride. As for accessories, just simple black earrings and a flat derby hat with a long veil and living eye. As for colors, again, black is the signature color of the royal family, including purple, and though Lilith wants to be seen as an equal to her husband, she much prefers to dress in all the sin's colors, though more specifically wrath and lust, as they're her closest friends and allies to the throne. Meet Goldie, a gluttony citizen who currently works at the Catnip Lounge, a hip 70s-inspired lounge bar in Pride. Don't get it twisted now, Goldie isn't some lovesick demon who ran off with an imp. No, cause surprise, she and her family have lived in Pride her whole life. Her parents moved to work for the Gluttony District and never went back after the twins were born. And it's not like Goldie wants to go anyway. That ring is nothing but fancy face stuffers. She loves the Pride ring. The sinners always keep her entertained and tell the craziest stories about Earth. She specifically loves the old Western type sinners, especially their music. It's so sad and honest. This Reba person sounds like a dream. Too bad she also can't run off and become a star. Stuck watching her baby brother and making sure no one finds out she's been making queen's honey to sell to sinners, cause, well, looks like there's a honey bun in this oven and tips from drunk sinners isn't gonna cut it. And unfortunately, staying in Pride isn't gonna help her or her brother, because unfortunately, her very unlucky brother has now brought danger to their front doorstep. Goldie's design had to be changed, as originally she was and still is an OC of mine for the main story of Hazbin Hotel, but for the overhaul, she is now a hellborn, specifically a gluttony hellborn, so I reworked her a bit by making her arms solid black and adding some bug leg thorns, reworked her face, or well, her lips, with a more bug-like mouth along with her legs. I also gave her wings and antenna and a stinger. I was going to give them 4 arms, but decided it would be better if they hid their second pair of arms for when they transform into their more demonic selves. Her hair also now grows around her neck and shoulders and wrists. As for her outfit, or uniform now, is still pretty much 70s inspired, just her tube top is now a cropped halter top. As for accessories, she still has her sunglasses, but her belt is now a aqua side chain belt. For color, due to Goldie being a gluttony citizen, I changed her colors to reflect the ring's colors, aka orange. So her skin is more orange, her hair more strawberry blonde than bleach blonde, and her outfit and makeup is now more heavy 70s orange. The blue is a nod to Beelzebub, as she was the one who created the gluttony citizens, and let's just say she's not super original, which is why they look so much like her. Meet Virgil, a gluttony citizen who currently works at the Catnip Lounge, a hip 70s inspired lounge bar in Pride. And no, he didn't move to Pride because of a saucy love affair with an imp or other hellborn. Though the sinners, well, I mean, come on, but no. Surprisingly, he and his sister have lived in Pride since birth after their parents moved for work, which has kind of made him and his sister outcast, as they know nothing of gluttony culture, which doesn't bother Virgil all that much. He's happy in Pride, he loves going to all the districts he can, and messing around with all the sinners he can. I mean, other than the terrifying Day of Death, Pride's the best, especially the lounge. He doesn't get why Goldie hates working there so much. Well, maybe he does, since he's been sneaking off to flirt with this pretty little spider. He knows he shouldn't talk to them, knew as soon as his boss told him he was contracted, but he can't help it. No one laughs at his jokes like Fonda does. A clown like him impressing a princess like him is a dream. But like all dreams, you gotta wake up. And poor Virgil is about to get the biggest wake up of his demonic life. Same as Goldie, Virgil's design had to be changed due to now becoming a gluttony citizen, as again, he's an OC of mine that was made to fit with Hazbin Hotel. But with the overhaul, it didn't work. So just like Goldie, his arms are now completely black and have bug thorns. His mouth is more bug shaped along with his legs. His antenna and wings are different now, but overall the same. He also has a stinger now, and in this universe, all hell bees have stingers and wings. They don't follow Earth bee biology, so completely forget bee biology, because hell bee biology is its own weird thing. As for his outfit, or uniform now, has been simplified as he's no longer a fake pimp, so he now wears a tank top and cropped short sleeve top. I did keep the bell bottoms though. As for accessories, just a simple black belt with a aqua buckle similar to his sister's. As for color, again, because Gluttony's color is orange, Virgil's coloring had to be changed. He now has orange hair, making him and Goldie fraternal twins. He also now has freckles and orangey skin. I also took away the black on his face and just gave him some hair on his chin and hair on his chest. The male gluttony bees don't have as much hair as the females, which is why he's not as fluffy. I also took away his sunglasses, just cause. Meet Haffy, Hell's most popular superstar for 6 years running. Who knew this little dripping neon nightmare had a voice behind that pretty face? The years have definitely been kind to her, having arrived in Hell as an ink demon who died around the late 80s, which would almost explain the color. At just 19 years old, poor thing, dying so young, which is strange on how she ended up being an all-sinner type. There's no way a happy little thing like her could hold so much darkness within. And it looks like she might be slipping. She's been singing nothing but breakup songs lately, which is strange. Haffy hasn't been with anyone since arriving in Hell. Who could she be singing about? It's just so weird for her. She's probably the happiest sinner in all of hell. I mean, I would too if I couldn't remember anything about my life and was given a demonic form that could never get hurt. It's a dream to run around hell with no issues other than money. Though I guess there is some downsides. I mean, being a full sinner type takes a lot out of a person. The inner darkness that can take over if not careful can cause you to lose yourself. The ones before were nothing like Haffy. They broke years quicker. Let's just hope she can keep it together. There's people counting on her, and someone else. Back at it again. Okay, so Happy is also another OC of mine, but thankfully she's still pretty much the same, but it's been a few years, and it's time she got an upgrade. So since she is now a pop star, I changed her outfit to reflect that by giving her an insane high crop boob window top with fur sleeves and changed her shorts into a skirt instead. Her teeth are no longer all sharp, just simple fangs. She now has a fluffy high ponytail and way more cuts on her body to showcase how bad her death was. Her colors are still the same, though more spread out and even, and the neon green and pink are now less harsh to look at, and the dripping effect is more apparent now as she is still an ink demon. Speaking of demon type, she is considered to be an all-sin type, which is pretty rare for most sinners to possess, but it's also weird because of how bright she is, as all sin types are completely black void monsters. This could be due to her lack of memory and drug type use, but who knows? As for accessories, she just wears a simple pair of neon blue triangle earrings. Also, yes, Haffy can eat. She's basically just walking liquid. And yes, her head does follow her wherever she goes. And no, you can't run off with just her head. Meet Yelena Rebel, the baddest bitch in all of hell. Well, she likes to think that, and she is bad, just not the baddest bitch in all of hell. Yelena in life was a huge fan of the gothic and music scene of the late 80s, but might have gone a bit overboard, adopting more occult-like behaviors and developing a persona of sorts around the legend of the Outback vampire, which ended up with her biting some guy's fingers off, sending her to the psych ward. The place wasn't bad per se, but when Susie and the Banshees are in town for one night only, you find a way to escape. Long story short, Yelena died in the venue's bathroom from an overdose after getting kicked out for fighting at only 26 years old. Shame, but she seems to be thriving in hell, having signed her soul to Wrath to party and kill day and night, enjoying just being free to cause as much destruction as possible with her hellish body. It's a trip. Yelena's never felt so alive for being so dead. She's even made some friends. She's never really had any, and this one's real fancy and actually seems to care about her, which is a first. Yelena would kill for them, cause though Yelena might not 100% be herself and enjoys the darkness of hell, she's still a good friend who would do anything for them, even if it means they can never see them again. Yelena's outfit design is heavily inspired by old school straitjackets. She never wore one when she was alive. She just thinks the look is neat. She's a big lover of horror alternative fashion, hints to the bloodstains, which are real. Her demonic form is a mix of the Outback vampire. Her markings and reddish color palette hinting to the creature. The rest is how twisted and destroyed her soul has become in death. Plus some rat, because, I mean, why not? Yelena doesn't have much symbolism. She's just meant to look and feel chaotic and dark, like she could have been born in hell, making her blend in. Her neck is also tattooed fully black. I really like that tattoo style, and I've always wanted it, but I'm a big baby, so I'm never gonna have that happen. So that's why I put it on her. You'll notice she's mostly in dark colors and red. Red is her official and only true sin of wrath, but you'll notice her eyes hold a striking resemblance to Lilith's, which isn't completely uncommon due to many humans having a connection to Lilith's bloodline. But don't be fooled, this doesn't make her Lily's long-lost relative or anything. It's just a small nod to who came from who. This is relatively normal within the demonic community because Adam, Eve, and Lilith were the kickstarters of humanity. So there are a couple bloodlines that still exist, though they're not super strong, and there's like barely any actual blood or bond. This is more of like a soul thing in a way. As for accessories, she doesn't really have any except for her piercings. Meet Rurick, owner of the Catnip Lounge, an old soul. Literally, the man died at 75 years old. Liver failure. I mean, you could probably guess it from a mile away. Man drinks like a fish. A miracle he lived as long as he did. But don't ask him about his life. You won't like what happens if you do. Men like Rurick have seen it all and done it all, and it's best to just take his advice and not ask any personal questions, which just works out for all of us. Now owning and managing the lounge, which is so much fun for him, reminds him of home, or well, the hotel he stayed at in Vegas in the 70s. And who doesn't love the 70s? What a decade. Free love, the music, the sticky icky. Now it's not the most popular place, but it's a nice place to hide away from the world. Rurick may appear gruff and mean, which he is, but he's a somewhat honest man. But extremely loyal, keeps all your little secrets hush-hush, even knows a few people who know a few people if you need something, or someone. Who knew jazz nights would attract some of the most unlikely of characters, which seems to have a lot of trouble making its way to his lounge. Not a good look. But then again, it is hell. Rurick's design is simple, or well, his outfit is simple. I put him in a 70s bowling shirt, though it might be kind of small, with how his biceps are bulging the sleeves. And the fact it's so low cut you can see his very hairy chest. Oh my. And to complete the 70s look, he is wearing bell-bottoms, custom made, since high-waisted pants are hard to come by when you have a gut like him. The rest of his design, or demonic form, is based on a manticore, a creature symbolizing strength, evil, and predicting doom, things Rurick's past and afterlife seem to have in common. Though manticores are usually depicted with human faces, sinners don't get that luxury, though he's not complaining. This lion face makes him look at least 10 years younger, though he wishes his hair wasn't so white, and that his wings worked. Stupid things are pretty much for show, though the scorpion tail is nice. Who doesn't want to paralyze their enemies, or a customer being too rowdy? As for color, you'll notice his main colors are orange and blue, big hints to his sins of gluttony and sloth, but there's also yellow, aka his accessories and a little of his face, to hint to greed, though not by much as his gluttony is stronger than his greed. But sloth is his truest sin. After all, the eyes are the window to the soul. Meet Dr. Oswald Venom, or Dr. Venom for short, Hell's most obnoxious yet classically evil mad scientist slash inventor. Once a very successful Victorian doctor who had a bit of a dark fascination with mind control and creating homunculus in his spare time. Thankfully, he had sold his soul to Belphegor, giving him marvelous ideas and contraptions to help the people and keep his darker side hidden. After all, progress is more important than morals. But unfortunately, such is the cruel hand of fate, his ideas were far too advanced for the time, and only left him even more mad than when he started, becoming obsessed with creating artificial lightning and moray eels, thinking he could weaponize them only to die by their hand due to constantly being bitten. He died at only 35 years old, which is pretty old for Victorian time, and after arriving in hell, his madness only grew, becoming fixated with the dark world around him and the powers hellborns and sinners seem to possess. But there's one particular sinner that intrigues him the most. Alistair, the only sinner he hasn't had the pleasure of dissecting, and oh how he's tried, battling him year after year, sending mindless zombies, and still never closer to seeing what makes the man tick, tick, tick. But maybe, just maybe, this year will be different now that Alistair seems to have involved himself with the Princess of Hell and her pathetic idea of a hotel for redemption. He just needs the perfect spy. Dr. Venom's design is inspired by, you guessed it, an eel, though a more monstrous version of one, with 18 eyes and poisonous spikes and tentacles on his back. And while he did sell his soul to Belphegor, his biggest sin was envy. He truly reveled in destroying the lives of other scientists, They never deserved the praises and awards the way he deserved them. Even if no one could see it, he could. So what was a few deaths and some life-ruining schemes? But due to his soul selling, he ended up tethered to the Sloth District, hence to why his outfit is more modern and why his other color is blue. He also has purple markings as well due to his pride, which shouldn't be surprising. People like Dr. Oswald have very high opinions of themselves, and pride is a bit of a side effect to that. Now for his outfit. As much as I would have loved for him to be in 100% Victorian wear, I don't think it would fit him anymore. I mean, he's been in hell for an extremely long time, along with living in the Sloth District, so his outfit would be more updated. It does still have some hints to the past, like his high neck collar and rubber gloves, but the crop coat and rubber slip make it more modern, along with the color and stripes. You'll also notice he has tubes sticking out of the sides of his ribcage. This is due to needing water every so often. The concoction he created keeps him from drying out, so small tidbit here, if you create an envy type citizen or sinner, they will need to be moist at any given time. So keep that in mind if you decide to make an OC, which is an okay thing with me. And that is it. We are done. Yay! Man, that was a lot, but I feel so much better. I needed to talk about them first because the world building is going to spoil some stuff, but also give way more insight to certain things I couldn't talk about just yet, which I will be going into further detail about Adam and Eve in the world building videos, so get ready for that. Because it's a lot of timeline stuff, but it's helpful for why Adam and Eve, Lucifer and Lilith have problems being around each other, and why Lucifer and Lilith don't like the idea of Lily being around Adam and Eve. But that'll be a while from now. Hopefully not too long, because I'm actually excited to talk about world building. But anyway, next video will be either Funtime Chica or the redesign of Snow White, because things are happening. And then hopefully after that, a few My Hero characters will get redesigned. That way, come October, I can start doing redesigns for the Owl House. Anyway, hopefully YouTube didn't shadow ban me like it's been doing. And y'all see this? If y'all see this, leave a butterfly so I know. And turn on bell notifications if you want to keep listening to me rant about stuff. Anyway, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really helps out the channel and me. I hope you all have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.